Hello, everybody. Welcome back. You all know what time it is. It's time for art. I'm your host, Hershey Petty. What is time for art, you may ask? We are a fun, easy to follow, very engaging art lesson that's taught twice a week right here on our Facebook channel. And if you don't have time twice a week to join us for our Facebook Lives, don't worry. You can always find every single video, including this one, as soon as it's over. We post them to our Facebook and to our YouTube pages. The only thing you got to search for is Time for Art subscriptions. So join us today. It is Wednesday, August 10th. Today is a paint day, and we're going to be painting the protea flower, which we learned to draw on Monday. So very exciting there. And so we're going to be using the latest tips and tricks and really cool techniques as our resident artist, Allison Crary, walks us through color mixing and just like how she approaches and how she teaches us to approach all sorts of different types of painting. So today we're going to use two colors. You're still going to need your white like you need for every one of them, but you'll also need the sap green and the magenta. So as you guys get ready with your brushes and your water and your whatnot, let's say hello to our resident artist, Allison Crary. Hello, Al.
Hey, Hershey Petty, how are you?
I am fantastic.
Are you excited to paint a protea?
I really am. The drawing from Monday was so like it was much more than I thought it was going to be.
It was a gauntlet, right? The drawing.
Yep.
It was and so I think we'll just really enjoy painting this because it's so graphic but still painterly. I think this is a really modern piece. I think everyone's going to really enjoy it when it's done. Yeah. Hopefully we'll have a few good walls for it. So I'm going to get out my labels. I've got them right here. And we provide these labels for your outline. So we have our outline, we have our canvas panel, we have our transfer paper, we have our pencil. And this is what we do. We take our outlines and we hinge them with our labels or tape or anything you want to your canvas panel. And the reason we use labels is because it's been the best thing so far that we can send to you every month so that you're never looking for tape. We want our kits to be bumper to bumper. You can do the whole project with the kit that we send. So that's really important to us. We send labels.
Yes.
So we're gonna go ahead and hinge this. And I usually always say like rough outline, we're gonna be painting over it, whatever. I feel like because this one is so sort of specific, I'd say take a little bit, not a whole lot more, but a little bit more time with your outline this time, because we're going to be painting very specific petals and leaves, and the linear quality kind of matters. And so you take your transfer paper, sticky, tacky, shiny side down like this. It's underneath, sandwiched between your outline and your canvas panel. And we are going to start drawing. So
let's do it.
Here we go. And again, not too much attention to, but I'm very much making sure I hit every line.
You know, what's funny is when I started to do my outline for this one, I kind of had that same thought. I was like, I better take my time with this one.
Yeah. And it's just, again, we do all kinds of paintings. Some are more painterly, some are more suggested, some are more stylized. What's cool about this one is it's this kind of interesting union of painterly and stylized.
Okay. And what does that mean? To be painterly and style and then opposite, or yeah.
In this instance, it's got like an artificial background. It's just one piece. It's, I think, very graphic where we have lines and the lines really matter and they're on there, and it's kind of outlined. The shapes are really prevalent, but it's not, you see the brush strokes. And so it's kind of a textured, very much painted, like, so a stylized painting sometimes can be so flat or so mechanical looking that you don't necessarily even know it was painted. And that's a cool way to do some stylized work. Yeah. In this instance, a very big part of this composition is that it was painted. It looks like it's painted. So the style here is still very graphic. It's centered. That's a very kind of modern composition.
Okay.
But the emphasis on brushstrokes and that it looks like brushstrokes is kind of an interesting union of ideas. So
nice. All right.
I'm excited about this painting. I also think this is a really beautiful home decor painting.
Yep.
that it will look very cool in anyone's home, in a bathroom.
And, you know, I always find it so impressive that these paintings we're able to complete these paintings with 2 colors.
Oh yeah.
So awesome.
So a little bit of a spoiler. Our next set of paintings we're doing just slightly differently. And instead of getting specific colors for specific paintings, we're sending 4 paints a month, but all 4 colors are used in both paintings we send.
Okay.
And so it's still very much a limited color palette because we're only sending you 4 colors. And you know how I feel about limited color palette paintings. It's a level of cohesion.
Yes.
That limitation is what really makes your paintings harmonious. They stick together. They really work together if you limit yourself to a limited color palette and you mix from those colors. Like sometimes we'd rather mix our green than use a green because the mixed green comes from the other colors we have. And so, and that's kind of how we stay a little bit more harmonious. And so that's still the case, but we're sending you 4 colors. And I think actually some of them you don't even use all 4 on each painting, but you have 4 colors available. And we have some really cool stuff. The other thing is there's still themes, but the themes aren't necessarily subject matter themes.
Okay.
And here we go. Looks like I'm missing 1 line. I'm going to tuck that back in. I just want to do a once over and make sure.
While everyone's getting ready and we're doing our tracing, I just want to say hi to Julie in Crown Point. She's in the comment section for us right now. Hello,
Fantastic. All right, so I'm going to get.
Sorry, Ruth.
Welcome, Ruth.
Hi, guys.
We have some heavy hitters on tonight. All right, so I'm going to get out our magenta paint to start with. And this is kind of an important, we had a question last time that said, should we paint in advance or get our background in? So the reason I said no, and we're going to put our magenta paint down first, and we're going to put together our first wash.
Okay.
And we're going to take one of our big brushes. And the first thing we're going to do is wash in with straight up magenta paint our background. And if you look at our reference, this doesn't necessarily look like what our background is going to be. And this didn't come through really great in the replication. You know, we're kind of left to the printers and what they can do.
Yeah, right.
But
well, and a wash for our students out there is, tell everybody again.
It is a watery slurry, we'll say, that you make with your paint. And you do it to cover your ground, to get your holes all filled in so you're not fighting covering your porous canvas panel. And then you can still see your lines through it. So it's kind of a watercolor layer to get you going. And an important one.
Right. And you don't
actually, Hershey, you put it better.
Say that again.
You put it better when we talked to you. You summarized a wash really beautifully.
I don't remember what I said.
It was so great. I wish you would. So, okay, so I didn't put enough down, so I'm going to put more.
And you don't have to worry too much about staying in the lines with this one.
Definitely not at this stage of the game. Mix in some water.
This is so great.
Just like this.
Oh, we got Melissa and Cheryl. Want to say hi to them as well. Welcome.
Fantastic. Welcome. And so this is a certain kind of paint technique where with acrylic paint, it's one of my favorites. And you go kind of dark, light over dark. And so that's what we're going to do is we're going to put this down and then we're going to put a lighter layer over it. And it's going to be really painterly. And what's going to peek through is this darker layer.
And is that something you can only do with acrylics, or it's just like that's what?
It's something I really enjoy doing with acrylics. Okay. You can do it with other paints, but acrylic paint, because sometimes it dries kind of sort of patchy. And it's just part of working with acrylic paints. It dries quickly. There's all kinds of reasons it's really great to work with acrylic paints. But if you know that about your paint and every bug is a feature, you can kind of take advantage of that, and it looks really cool to paint light over dark. So that's just a paint technique. We talk about like a white veil technique. That's not really what this is. We're going to paint a more sort of opaque layer over this, and we're gonna turn into how the darker color kind of peeks through. So I am excited about that.
Same. This is a really great, I love this color.
Yeah, and then I'm also going to paint in the sort of center egg.
Okay.
And every time I'm thinking of the egg. I don't know if anyone's seen Cool Runnings. It was one of the movies on the shelf in my family. We loved it so much. And I just always think of Sanka saying, "You gotta kiss my lucky egg."
I think of what the Great Gatsby.
Okay, probably a better reference. But I'm just like, when we talk about the center egg, I think of Sanka's egg and his lucky egg. All right, so then we're gonna make this petal dark. We're gonna make this kind of comes around here. All of this is kind of dark. Down like that. Around here. This petal right here is dark. This right here is dark. Okay, so I've got my deepest darks. Actually, if we want to, we can do some of these up here. This is dark. This is dark. Something else that fell on the table.
Yeah, I'm falling too.
Don't worry about it. This is dark. How's the puppy, Hershey?
He's so great. He's actually right next to me in his crate right now. He's sleeping because he's
sweet baby.
Yeah, we're having some thunder right now, and so he's attached to me like he doesn't want to leave my side because he doesn't like it.
Yeah.
But he's the best. I'll show you. At the end. I'll put him on camera because I can't post any photos of him. But
he's just so precious.
I mean, when we go to the dog park, I'm telling you, everyone comments about how handsome he is, and they're not wrong. He's
such a handsome boy. I am well aware.
Yes.
Right here, get some dark. All right. Next order of business. Green. We're gonna get out our sap green. We're gonna put it in a well. I'm actually gonna go with not my biggest brush, more with the medium brush. Obviously, use whatever you want. And we're gonna do the same thing. We are going to wash in our greens.
Sap green.
Just like this. Okay. And like this. Underneath here. Up and around.
Are you doing everything that you didn't touch with magenta?
No, I'm just doing everything that I find to be green.
Okay.
And it looks like, again, this outline, I think what I did was I made the outline and then I made the painting instead of the other way around. And so I made the outline probably from a sketch I was working with, which is fine. It doesn't exactly line up to the painting. So it's a good line. It's a good overview. So we're just going to paint in our leavies just like this. As we let our background dry. So this gets some green. This gets some green. This gets some green. And this is kind of like coloring book time. Like,
it's so great.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just fill things in.
It is so humid here. We went for a walk and I was drenched in sweat. I had to quickly take a shower before we started today.
Man.
I'm sure Ruth is feeling the same effects.
Feeling the love, the Tucson love.
Yeah.
All right, and so this should have been green, and so I'm making it green at this stage of the game. And then, so I'm gonna refill my magenta, and all the areas that kind of should have been magenta that I might have missed the first time, like it really is more this area that's supposed to be magenta. And we make adjustments here all the time. This is no exception.
All the time.
This should really be magenta. This is magenta. Come wiggle, wiggle. Around this way. This is magenta. 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 The kind of second coat anything is internal that's on our protea. Still very much a wash. It's very translucent. As we come through here. Just filling it in. Any more additions to the House of Windsor, Hershey Patty?
No. If there is going to be any more additions, it will be Princess Charlotte, though, because it's just the royal line of succession. But that also includes Princess Diana. So
Sure.
How do you do that? You know, you can't not do her. So
I feel like you definitely need a Diana.
Yeah, you need it. You need it.
You need a Diana.
Like Charles even relevant.
Yeah, yeah. Agreed. Okay, so I've got in, just want to make sure everyone can see this. All of my darkest areas that are going to be magenta. Again, loosely, not worried too much about it. My green areas. And then last but not least in my wash layer, I'm going to take the same magenta, drop it in again, drop in a little more. And I'm going to add some white. Now what's important here because of our covering white, and we don't want to cover our lines, is that we actually add a lot of water to this. And then we paint. But you don't want any of this to be so thick that you can't see your outlines through it.
It's already coming out pretty pretty. This is a really pretty painting already.
Isn't this beautiful? It's one of my favorites. Just because it's not always the way. Sometimes we really render things really realistically. Sometimes we render things like with watercolor technique, or we get into the textures. In this case, we're kind of getting into like the paint, I feel like.
Yeah, this is fun. Like, look at mine already. I think it looks really pretty.
Beautiful, right?
Right.
And I love a botanical. Hershey and I did a botanical show together.
At the Botanical Gardens.
At the Botanical Gardens. Hershey was the mayor.
It was hot and humid and rainy that day too.
Oh man, it was. I feel like there was a change of clothes that happened at one point.
I feel like that would have been a good idea, but I don't. Oh, you know what? I got drenched. I did. You're right.
Oh, that's right. There was a downpour.
Yeah, I went for a walk.
And it's a big place.
It was not a good idea.
So anywhere I think this maybe got too thick, I'm going back in with some water. So I can see my lines. And if you cover up your lines, you can always retransfer or just look at your reference.
Keep that, you got to keep that, the outline labeled. Keep it there.
Yes, yes, yes. All right. There we go. So some of this wash is not quite dry, and that's kind of important to this technique that we're doing. So I'm just going to take, paper towel would certainly work, but I'm just going to take some of the paper that I have down and blot.
Alrighty.
I want this to be nice and dry. I don't think it needs the hair dryer. I just want to take off some of this excess for what we're doing next. We want to layer this. We don't want to mix it in. We don't want to fold it in or scumble. That's a technique we use from time to time where we kind of massage paint into some paint that's already down.
Okay.
We want to paint on top of this. And so I'm just removing some of the excess, or you could let it dry, but this is what I'm going to do for demonstration's sake. And we're going to take this pinky tone that we just made. We're going to add a whole lot of white to it. And we're going to mix. We want this to be just a very soft tint of what's there. So in fashion, this is actually considered to be petal pink.
Ooh.
Or blush.
So we're using that same magenta with white with lots of water.
Yes, I added just white, straight up white to that. And so it's a barely pink, mostly white. And this is what we're going to paint in over our magenta.
Okay.
And it's always easier to pull a line
than it is to push it.
It is to push a line. So I'm kind of pulling my lines.
Did you add any water to this pink?
So there's a little bit of water in there, so it's a little bit looser, but we don't want this to be like the white veil technique. That's actually not, unless you do, which at any point do your own thing. We always say that. We want this to be more painterly. We want the texture of the covering white that's more heavy bodied to show.
See how this is the background.
Yeah.
Oh goodness. Okay. All right. All right. I wasn't.
How these are heavier strokes, and I'm kind of texturing my strokes in this instance. That's very intentional. And then what you see through is the darker tone that is that kind of magenta raspberry color. And that's why we put that down first.
Very cool. All righty.
And that's just kind of what we're going for here. And we don't paint like this very often. We usually paint very flat. My style in my work is usually very flat. And so this is what we're going for.
Yeah, very different from our usual techniques. Very cool. And so you want to keep that texture.
We want to, that's what I'm going for, is this texture.
Right.
And then we're actually going to go over it one more time, even lighter, so that there's some white, like even whiter strokes that sit on top of it. But that's what I'm talking about, where it's both stylized and painterly. Like this is an artificial background. We're not representing life. We're not representing nature.
Right.
We're just putting in this textured, I don't want to call it impasto. That's like with like the palette knife, the really heavy texture, but we're turning into sort of the dimension of the heavier white.
Really cool.
We don't do it very often. And so with a painting as simple as this one, I like to try out some of these other techniques. Coming this way.
When you're talking about cohesion, and you the same colors in a painting to make other colors, like this one, it really exemplifies that.
Right? Yeah. So this is the background. So I'm just trying to hit these key background areas. Just like this.
That principle of using the same colors in a painting to mix other colors, I always think about that painting we did of the cactus.
Oh, that's a good one. Yeah. I think of what was if the desert road, we mixed that green, even though we provided green.
Yeah.
Because we wanted the green from the colors that we put together.
Yeah.
So that was another one. So, okay, so here's what my background is looking like. And then I just want to find all the other places I had a little bit of background showing. So right here, right here. Just like that. And then I'm going to take the same color that I mixed right here. And I'm going to scoop some of it out. And I'm going to add even more white. So it's even lighter.
Okay.
And I'm going to add some even lighter white to this same background. And so it's kind of two tints of the color beneath it.
How white is it? Like, because mine keeps coming out pink.
It's pink still. It just needs to be lighter than that.
Okay, got you.
It can be anything you want it to be, right? It's just
right.
Needs to be lighter because we're showing kind of depth, the illusion of depth.
Yep. Yeah, right.
And the reason this looks nice, the other way around, this could look really patchy and kind of incomplete and sort of like student work. And we're all students, so you never want to like shame student work. But to go light on dark means that all the pockets showing through very, to turn into that intentionally can look, can almost glow.
The exact opposite of student.
Exactly.
Master.
That's what we're going for here. All right. So I'm just putting in my lighter color here. And then the trick here is to leave it alone. Let your paint dry. All right.
Dry.
I say that, just a few tips. Anywhere there's an edge, I'm going to kind of overlap that edge because I don't want like a red halo.
Okay.
Or, around this, any place you still see. So I'm just going to kind of take my brush and kind of blur the lighter layer around this, just so that we don't have this kind of, it's kind of another sort of way around amateur hour. Again, nothing wrong with amateurs, but it's just
we don't have it in our group.
Not a one. All right. So there we go with that. That's our background. Just like that. Now, because red and green are complements, the next thing we're going to do is for our darkest areas, we're going to take our magenta. To make it even deeper, we're going to add a little sap green.
Ooh.
Just like that. And mix. And it's going to make it a little bit darker and duller. And I've got a little bit of white still on my brush, which I'm keeping to make it a little bit more opaque. And I'm actually going to switch to my smallest brush because I'm going to be very careful about these strokes. And so that is definitely going to be my lucky egg in the middle. Just like this.
All right, color mixing 101.
Just a little bit duller. It's going to be a little bit darker than our magenta. Just like that.
Yesterday, Roscoe was chewing a bone loudly Monday, he was chewing a bone loudly while we did this. And today he's snoring. I don't know if you can hear him.
I mean, I can't, but he's just so precious. Oh. He must really like it there, Hershey, if he's snoring.
Yeah, he does. He does.
He likes his Hershey, just like we do.
It's so cute. He's getting used to the routine. When I gotta go, he doesn't like cry so much. He like understands.
Yes. Oh, what a sweet boy. All right, so around here, here. And again, I'm just hitting my darkest areas that are kind of the biggest areas. So we're gonna make this color again, probably.
I think this is the exact color we made in that cactus painting I was talking about.
Very similar.
Yeah.
So I'm coming around this way. Remember, that's our background. So that line will have to be a harder line. I'm taking up a little paint when I do that, but that's okay for now. Like this. This edge right here.
Oh, man.
So Hershey, tell me more about your home art studio that I know you've put together.
It's pretty cool. I should do a video for you.
Yeah.
It's in the it's like the little office area of my house, and I turn the whole thing into. It's also some clothes storage and whatnot, but yeah, it's got a desk and a window and place for all my paints and everything, and the lighting back there, and that room I think was like a random addition, so it doesn't have an AC vent.
Yeah.
Found that out the hard way. So I do this course in my dining room, but I turn the back. I turn the back in the that's where the desk is that I like to sit and paint at, because I can open the door. Now with Roscoe here, I gotta whatever. And it's so hot out now that I'm like, ugh. But it's great. My whole house is like, I feel like I live in a house. People walk in my house, they go, "You're an artist,"
and it's like. Obviously, like, what a ridiculous, like, thanks, Captain.
That's my work on the walls. That's my work.
Yeah. So my friend Roaring has a darling daughter named Marin, and she stayed with me a few weeks ago, and we were talking to my next door neighbors. And I live in a 2-flat building that takes up 2 lots, so it's 6 units merged together. And we were talking to my neighbors, and I was explaining to Marin that it's the exact same unit, but the mirror image that my neighbors live in, right? Uh-huh. And she goes, "Do you have an art studio?"
That's great.
My neighbor Rachel's like, "No, we don't. We just have a second bedroom."
She's like, "It's not the same then."
She's like, "I don't know what you're talking about. This one has an art studio." So yeah. It was pretty great. Okay, so I've got in the heavier coat here. And then I'm just going to I'm going to mix this again. So that was magenta and some sap green. Just like that. Mix these guys, make more of this. And maybe a speck of white for opacity. I don't have as much on my brush as I did before, so we're just going to take a little bit of that because it wasn't on there already.
Yeah.
Fold it in for opacity's sake. So just with a little bit milkier. I'm sure technically lighter, but not enough to sort of rattle us, but it makes it richer.
All righty.
All right. And I'm actually going to wash off my brush and sharpen it. You know that whole routine.
Yeah, show us though.
Brush. Get it nice and wet. Everybody see it? And you kind of squeegee it through your fingers. Just like that. And then you're going to put it in your paint. And I'm looking for all of these outlines that have this color in it. So we're going to go straight for the darks here. And then we'll check our painting. So on this petal, maybe we go petal by petal. Maybe that's the way to go. It kind of comes around like this. On this petal, it comes down like this. On this petal, like this. On this petal, it comes around and down like this. And down, over and around like that. These kind of meet down here. On this petal, it comes.
Are you going right on the line?
I'm going kind of next to the line because we're going to we're going to put our white lines in there too. Okay. So I'm just kind of going basic shapes. Good question. In this case, next to it. Okay. So if the petal is the contour of the outside, I'm just kind of going to where my darks sort of fall in that petal.
Oh, right, right. Okay, that makes sense. Gotcha.
Yeah. So this is kind of comes around like this. Comes around like this. This comes over down like that. This comes around and down like that. This kind of squiggles along this way. This comes down like this. This comes up to a point like this, over and down like this, just like that. This is kind of this side of the petal. It looks like that. This one, it's right along here. Just like that. We have this one in, so this, because I painted this one in before. So this is actually some of the interior. I kind of missed that the first time. It's around and down that way. This one comes around and down this way. This one has a little bit of this color that peeks around here. Over here, it's not those colors. So I think we're pretty much there. This is, and then I'm just going to kind of second coat this so that it looks a little bit darker because I put this in before. So.
All right.
Coming around here. I didn't turn my phone off. Do you see if somebody's texting me?
Yeah.
Is that coming
I thought it was me, but it's you.
Oh, no. It's Carrasco snoring and
right.
maybe an occasional bone chewing. When we were making our videos, remember back when we thought videos were cool? I'm just kind of second coating some of these because when we watch paint dry, we see it doesn't come through quite as quickly. Yes. Or that it doesn't dry quite as heavily as we thought. So that's what I'm doing right now. I'm second coating some of these areas.
Okay.
We're making our videos. I did a video of something and I wasn't paying attention to the audio and I sent it to our video editor. And the audio you could hear was like Marvin drinking an entire bowl of water, like loudly. Like obviously he was super parched and like downed an entire bowl of water. And it was like, I'm like, yeah.
You didn't realize that until you went to go watch it?
Yeah. I just wasn't paying any attention. It's like white noise. I don't listen to Marvin drink water. Like it was.
Right.
Yeah.
Julie, one of our star pupils, added to the comment section. She said that one of her favorite books to read to her class is called Come on Rain, and you can find it on YouTube. And it sounds like you would identify the character's feelings.
Oh, cool.
She wanted to add that for Ruth and I, who are in rainy Tucson, which no one has ever described Tucson as rainy. But right now we're having our monsoons and it's fantastic.
So tell me more about rainy Tucson.
So in the beginning of the day, clear blue skies, it's gorgeous outside, hot, but gorgeous. And then in the afternoon around 3-ish, the clouds roll in. The lightning show is outrageous. The thunder is so cool. It's nothing. We don't get anything like that in California, I'll tell you. And then it sometimes it stays a little bit cloudy, but not overcast. Like there's distinct large clouds in the skies. There's not like just a blanket of clouds, and the desert really blooms. Let me tell you, it's really, really fascinating.
Hershey, I need to come see you there.
Yes.
I know I'm going to see you in the LBC, but I really need to see you.
The LBC.
There, in the LBC, baby.
The LBC is having, I saw on the news, a pretty big outbreak of monkeypox. So, and I had just scheduled today to get my vaccine.
Fantastic.
Thank you. I'm pretty proud of myself. Humid. Ruth wants me to say humid. It's super humid here. It is. It is.
What were you saying? But what?
I think I was going to say it was rainy and beautiful, and she was like, "It's humid."
Cut the air with a knife.
Really
okay. So there we go. We've got our darks in, and so if you take a look at this, there we are, right? So I'm going to kind of let this sort of dry, and then you can either leave it, or I'm going to take my big brush that is nice and clean. And the background, because we watch paint dry here at Time for Art Subscriptions. I don't want these really like heavy tops to my paint. So any of the highest peaks, unless you like that, which is super cool, I just don't want that. I'm going to kind of knock down. I want my texture to just sort of look like brush strokes and not to look a whole lot taller than that.
Okay.
So again, unless that's looking good on your painting, in which case keep it. But it's why we watch paint dry here. And I have never been bored watching paint dry.
Yeah, same.
Not even one time. There's colors. It's kind of pay attention to it as it dries.
In order to do that, it's right before the paint is totally dry, and it's
Yes.
you're using just a dry brush.
A dry brush, and I'm just I'm decapitating the peaks.
Okay.
And do you see how that just kind of makes it a little bit more harmonious in this instance?
Mm-hmm. I do.
All right. There we go. Next order of business, our greens. So, okay, this representation looks great, except that it's not necessarily representative of how our colors are going to look. We're going to take a generous kind of quadra peas, four frozen peas of sap green, and a speck, a touch, a twinge of magenta. And we're going to kind of dirty up our green.
Okay.
And I say a speck, a touch, a twinge because I might want more, but I want to build that up. I have this phenomenal girl that cuts my bangs every couple of weeks.
Yeah.
And the way she does it is it takes her like 20 minutes to cut my bangs. And we just go little by little and decide what we like.
Oh, I like that.
So there we go. And I've got a little bit of white in there. There was a little bit in the well when I started. But yeah, and that's kind of how I'm going to mix this green is I might do like a little bit more because we're kind of dirtying it up. We want it a little bit muted and a little bit more opaque. And our darkest greens, which don't really show up really well in this, but again, it doesn't really matter because this is so stylized. It's not like we're rendering light and dark realistically here. And I'm just going to kind of paint these guys in.
You do like a whole nother coat.
Yeah, I'm doing a whole nother coat. I'm not diluting it with water. Got a little bit of white in it that made it a little bit more opaque. And that was just kind of because it was next to some white. And I mixed it in.
Green a little more army.
Yes. And one of my favorite things to do is kind of an army green next to like a really like blue green, or like I like kind of an off green.
Yeah.
Next to a really sweet green.
Okay.
I think that dichotomy is really interesting. And we're going to kind of turn into that here. So this color is kind of around here. And in this instance, I don't want high peaks and valleys. I just want to kind of flatten some of this because what we're going to want to do is second coat it. So that looks like this. This kind of looks like this. We're right at the 48 mark, and sometimes we go over on paint days. And this is not one of our more complicated paintings, but it takes a lot of colors and a lot of layers. And so we might go over the hour mark. Just kind of want to warn everybody of that. We usually go an hour to an hour and a half, sometimes an hour 15 on paint days.
I'll stay here with you, Al.
Fantastic, Hershey. Coming around here.
And boy, if anybody at home watching along, if you guys have not mixed, if you haven't dirtied up your green yet, when she says a speck of magenta, she means a speck.
A twinge.
Yeah.
We're going to paint this in just like this. And then I'm kind of taking from here because I had a little too much of it over here because I want nice, evenly coated, flat layers. And sometimes you don't always do that right away at the onset. You realize, oh, I've kind of got too much here. And you don't know until you're painting to do that. So I'm going to do the same thing over here.
When you made this painting the first time, did you know you were going to do this technique where you were going to kind of like make it, the background was going to be artificial? And
I don't know. I did these a while ago. I think we were looking to kind of try a few different techniques. I think we were looking for some variety.
Yeah.
And so, yes. But I think more so, we wanted to do something that wasn't necessarily perfectly representational.
Right.
And this is where we ended up. So
you'll be happy to know that our painting class has not disturbed Roscoe.
I feel like Roscoe and maybe Marvin, but that they need some more airtime.
Yeah, I agree. He probably wouldn't stand for it, but I agree.
Well, that's kind of where I am with it. And it's like, I look at this, like this should have been our burgundy. And so I'm going to go back in and paint that. Sometimes you catch where you've missed before. Like this.
Should you be able to see your lines underneath this green that we're providing now?
So the answer is yes, because it's just a more transparent paint.
Okay.
And so it would be really great if you couldn't see your lines, but that's not really an option. So we're just gonna have to second coat it, which is why this painting is just gonna take a little bit longer. So coming back in here, this should have been red. So we're gonna kind of let this dry and then come back in.
Okay.
Next order of business, we're gonna go for this kind of mauve-y texture, for this mauve-y color that's kind of up in here.
Mm-hmm.
And then the next one's gonna be our lightest color because our background color that we painted in, it's gonna be our in-between color. And there's no reason to repaint over it because we've got so many layers going on, it should be fine. And so we're gonna take our magenta again. We're gonna dirty it up with some of our green. I'm gonna go ahead and say almost equal parts.
Yeah, because those colors are not created equal.
Definitely not created equal. And then we're gonna take a nice big, I'm gonna leave these, I don't wanna dirty up those colors. Usually we'd pull from there, but I'm gonna add my own white to this because in case we need those again, I'm gonna leave them alone. And we're gonna mix. That got a little light, so no problem. Go back in with some more red and some green. And I want this to be very dull. I want this to look like mauve.
Like what?
Like mauve.
Mauve. Yeah. Okay. Gotcha.
I don't want this to look pink. I want it to look mauve. Is that dark enough? We'll put it down and see. Might be perfect. All right. So this is going to be, and this is kind of the flat layer of this. It's going to come right. No, not dark enough.
If it's not dark enough, are you adding more of the magenta?
I am adding more magenta in this instance. We can add some more green.
Mine's really dull. I did a good job with the first. Yeah.
Nice job with dulling it. Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And is it dark? Because it's got to be darker than everything else but the.
Yep.
Let's see here.
Let's see what I got. Let's show you there. Do you see it at the top there?
Oh, yours is fantastic. Yours is exactly right. Okay. So, yeah. Is that dark enough? I don't think so. Mine's not dark enough or dirty enough. Happens.
It happens.
Sometimes we don't get there right away. Part of the fun. There we go. Finally. There's our mauve. All right, I'm going to switch brushes. All right. So this is going to go right here, right here. And again, we're painting with a lot of paint. We don't usually do that.
No.
Different technique, different style. Right up here. Just like this. Down like this. There. Right here. There. This petal down here. Gets the mauve.
Really
Here.
coming together like they always do. Like they always do.
It's like the Rice Krispie treat dress. I've told that story.
Yeah.
Together. These petals get some mauve. I'm just going to kind of put it in a whole layer. Darker ones down here. Just like that. This guy right here has some mauve.
A lot of mauve.
A lot of mauve, right? Back here gets some mauve. Okay. I think that's okay. So then we're going to take this color. We're going to do this trick where we take some of this, we dollop, we're going to add some white.
All righty.
So this is our lighter mauve. So any place, I'm actually going to add even more white. We do see this kind of in between color. There we go. That's what I want. Wash this out. So any place we see this kind of in between color, we're going to come in with this color. So right here.
How light should it be? What are we talking?
We're talking like a whole shade lighter, I'd say.
All righty.
Right here.
And we're being a little more precise with our lines now.
A little bit more precise with our lines. right here. I'm a little light on this. I'm darkening up my mauve a little bit. My lighter mauve. Right here. Right here. Here.
I feel like my lighter mauve is a little too gray.
Interesting. Okay, well then that's change it.
Yeah, I'm gonna add a little more.
That's when you look at your painting and you say, on my painting, my lighter mauve's too gray.
That's right.
I'm gonna change it. A little bit of lighter mauve here. A little bit of lighter mauve around here. A little bit of lighter mauve around here. Lighter mauve around here. Up and over here. All right. Last but certainly not least, I'm going to go with, and I already have it mixed, my lightest pink tone, which was almost all white. And that's, I'm going to start with my center petals, and then this will also be what I outline with. So in here, it's this tone. Right here. Over here, it's this tone. Right here. A little bit right here. A little bit right here. Down here. Over here. Right here.
You know, Elsa, I have a question about the color mixing. So, you know, we mixed the green and the red, and it made that darker red or that dirty green. And then we added the white, and that did, you know, that made it even lighter still. If we had made the red, if we had mixed the red with the white first and then added the green, will we come with the same color, come up with the same color? Does it matter what order, like what order of operations in math?
No. Probably not.
Okay.
You get the same stuff. The only time the order of operations kind of matters is if you're like making something lighter or making something darker, like how we try and like take that same color and add to it.
Yeah. Right.
That's when it kind of, that's why we try and be kind of strategic about our wells sometimes. So this guy kind of gets some right here. A little bit over here. And again, stylize also kind of means your style. So this is going to be if you have a certain brush or you make your, you know, your marks a certain way. That matters.
That's cool.
So it's going to very much look like how you paint. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of review here all of what we have. We've put in our lightest tone. I'm going to put a little more right here. And I'm going to move back over to our greens. And the first thing I'm going to do his second coat with what I have left are green.
Okay.
So I'm going to come back in around here like this.
With that little dirty army green?
Dirty army green. And actually, if you want to make it a touch lighter and more opaque, not the worst idea. And this is a good example of it's always better to work 2 flat layers than one kind of heavy gloppy layer that dries inconsistently. It's kind of the house painting rule.
Yep.
And I'm going to run out of this, so I'll have to mix more, which is fine. Turn around like this.
Let me see how you do on that.
Just a second layer.
Okay.
I can show you again, but like, so this is this area. Just going another kind of very flat layer on top. I might not run out. I thought I was going to. And then I remembered, check all the corners. Your paint lives in the tiny corners.
Mm-hmm.
We like these palettes because you get to the 100% of the surface area is wells. And that's why we like to use these, because we use it all up. But your paint can hide in these itty bitty layers. And so.
And we're paint conservationists over here.
And we're paint conservationists over here. I said that I might need more paint. We'll see. It's gonna be close. In which case, I'll just make myself more paint. Not the end of the world. I'm gonna make it.
I just love mixing this paint and trying to find the exact right color. And
It's well, and that to me is real artist practice. You may never want to paint a Protea. I don't know why you wouldn't, but you might not, right?
right.
What we're gonna learn from this is color mixing in a different technique. And that's why we do it this way. All right. So the next thing we're gonna do for contrast sake, for fun, is we're not gonna dirty up our next green. We're gonna lighten it, but it's gonna be this more sweet green. There's, and I'm gonna put some pure white in the middle and add it like Lexi, who cuts my bangs. And we're just gonna keep adding it until it's the right color. And do you see how this is really kind of sweet and
yeah, very different green.
like a candy apple green, or like a, you know. And so I'm going to kind of fill in actually everything that's not painted now, this color. And I stuck with what I didn't add any more white.
Okay.
So for me, this worked. And then we have like a highlight green that we're going to put on top of that. So it gets a little bit of this right here. A little bit of this right here. And another thing, because I was talking to someone, hopefully another subscriber, about this, and I go, kind of our brand is to do a lot of paintings and not spend too much time on each one, because you're going to get something different from every painting, and not everybody's going to do all the paintings. And so pick your favorites, but it's that we do something quick, we learn something, everybody has some success, and then we try something new.
Yeah. I think that's that for me. I really enjoyed that. I really, especially, you know, I'm sure everybody at home is similar to me, where they they don't know their style yet. What, you know, to be able to paint all these different styles is really kind of opening up the imagination. You're figuring out all sorts of cool stuff.
Exactly. And so we just like to try a lot of new things, see what you enjoy, but painting on the reg is kind of our model. Just get your paints out. It's not a big deal. If you are a child and you come visit me, you can paint anytime you want.
Yeah.
There's something special about it. We don't worry too much about, like, you know, what you have on.
Right.
What's going on there. We get painting. It's not like, oh, like it's, and if you've got 15 minutes, that's enough time.
Yeah. I mean, very few people can say they pump out as many paintings as our community does.
That's the thing. And then if you want to work on something over time, do it, right? Like, you know, kind of have something going and enjoy it. But
Looking good.
All right, so I'm going to kind of leave that alone for a moment. Now it's kind of when I check my painting and I say, okay, what do I need to touch up? So I'm going to touch up some of the reds in here. Clean up this line. But very much this looks painted, but it's very much stylized. It's very much kind of an abstract.
Yeah.
An abstraction.
We looked up protea flowers and we didn't see any that looked like, you know, just like quite like this one.
Quite like this one. But if I was to put one on my wall, I'd want one that kind of looks like this.
Same.
And so any place you kind of see some patchiness, I'm actually going to go in just actually with some straight up magenta. And kind of second coat some of those. We have our darker layer underneath.
Yeah.
It's kind of similar to our lighter over darker technique.
Kind of what I'm doing right now also.
Filling in some of our holes. Again, it's some of this consistency that makes your work look a little bit more refined, a little bit more polished.
Mm-hmm. Two colors only. That to me is, right. That's what says that you're an accomplished painter to me, is when you can do something like this with just two colors.
I just think you learn a lot with doing stuff like this with just two colors. Like,
you put two crayons, different color crayons in front of a kid, they'd be like, I can't color a coloring book with this. You give them two colors of paint, you can do a lot.
I love a limited color palette painting. And again, 4 colors, I'd say very much still limited color palette painting.
2, that's pretty limited.
It was pretty limited. Our dolphins were 2 colors, aren't they?
Yeah.
I feel like that was kind of a fan favorite.
Yeah. Everyone did such a good job.
Such a good job. I think our least fan favorite was our Jurassic Park one.
Yeah, I knew you were gonna say that one. That was
Park.
Yeah. People were sweating at the end of the live stream. Yep.
People did not love that one. And noted, we understand.
Somebody put a nice comment. Remember, they said, I'm going to work on this later because
or this one was a toughie. I think it was like, oh, we're sorry. All right, so we're kind of second coating all of these. I'm going to kind of let this dry. In the meantime, we're going to put our highlights into our greens. And if you have some down, great. If you need more, get it out. We're going to take our sap green. We're going to add a lot of white.
Okay.
Equal parts, maybe. See what we get. Add a little more. And this is going to be our highlight. I'm actually going to wash out my brush and sharpen it. So we're going to rinse it out, kind of blot it, squeegee it to a tiny tip. Just like that. And we paint. And so this gets some highlight. This is just sap green and white along this edge. This gets some highlight. Along that edge, and I think it's got a little bit of reflected light. It kind of squiggles along this line. This gets a little highlight along this ledge. And Hershey and I talk about this. We absolutely love highlights in our favorite. It's our favorite part, but highlights are precious. Can't overdo them.
That's right. Less is more.
Less is more.
Sometimes.
Sometimes. It's not. Some kind of highlight along here.
I have your voice in my head saying that the highlights are precious every time I start highlighting.
And then you use as much as restraint as you'd like.
Yep.
Kind of blurring this. On here. I'll kind of reinforce this edge right here. And then I'm looking at my painting now, and there's some areas I'd kind of like to be a little bit darker. And so I'm going to take not what's left of my army green. I'm going to make an even duller army green.
Okay.
I'm going to take, I can put it in the same well. My green. And I'm going to add, I still have some straight up magenta left from when we did this. And I'm going to keep adding it. And like how Lexi cuts my bangs.
Is it like a group effort? Like, are you watching and she cuts them and you both decide? Okay.
Yeah, there's audience participation for sure. And we're like, okay.
I mean, she can't go wrong then, right? Because
that's what I mean.
Go forward. Yeah.
Take our time. She always tries not to charge me. And I was like, Lexi, that was a lot of work. You're charging,
Yeah.
I give her $20.
You have bangs that you like.
Yes. And we do it like monthly.
Yep.
All right. So this is my slightly darker army green, and it's going to go in all of the especially dark places. So kind of in between these leaves right here.
And you're doing this because you felt like you needed a little bit darker, or will we all need to do this? Because I haven't caught up to you yet.
So it's obviously look at your painting and make a decision.
Yeah.
I'm looking and I see a little bit more depth in the reference than I included with my first layer. And so I'm making a slightly darker green to get me that depth.
Okie dokie.
Kind of around like this. So a little bit of depth right around here. A little darker here. And I mean, I paint these sometimes differently than when I did it the first time. So maybe I came in with this earlier. I'm just seeing here that there's kind of more going on here. All the paintings are 100% mine though. So I can't like blame somebody else. I don't know what the artist is doing here. They're all mine. This is my painting that I did whenever I did. So I'm just going to kind of hit this on here.
What are you doing? This is what like these are the kind of paintings I really love to do because I feel like I could spend hours just tweaking colors and playing with it.
And it's kind of whatever you land on with this.
Right. And you just don't know when you're going to land. Like maybe you get the color right the first time and you're like, I love this. Or maybe you do it a few more times.
Yeah, it's very
much. This, Allison. Yeah. I just saw you do this with your head. You look at your painting and you're like, that's exactly right. You look at the sea. Yep.
It's a relationship.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so this is going to kind of wrap up my leaves. And kind of last but not least, I'm going to take my lightest light pink. And just so that it's not straight up white, even though this is awfully close to white, I'm going to move that over here. And I'm going to add even more white. And I'm going to mix. And it's going to still be pretty stark, but not quite white. So there we go. There's a little bit of pink in that white, I swear. Wash off my brush again. And I've been kind of letting these darks dry. We might get a little bit of bleed because I second coated these. So we'll see what we get. But I'm going to go ahead and start outlining and we'll just see what we get. We might like that little bit of bleed. It might show the painterly technique. But I'm going to sharpen my brush. We need a little bit more water because this white's so heavy bodied. So we're going to break that up a little bit. And I'm going to outline. That's kind of what this is. These petals are outlined. So along here. Again, this would probably be easier. I could get out my hair dryer if I wanted to on a very dry, but I think I might even, if it bleeds a little bit, I might like that interference.
Yeah, check it out.
Roscoe.
You hear it?
Sweetheart, what is it?
Probably bushes moving outside.
Marvin, at my parents' house barks at the reflection on the lake. That moves, and he's not having it. Or at the dead.
Yeah, right, right.
Which is as good as any.
Or at the dead. You're hilarious.
She's like, what is it, Marvin? What do you see out there? And I'm
Yeah.
like, I think not a whole lot. And she's like, see, I disagree.
You know, that might be the case because when he gets so scared to go outside your house, when I took him on that walk that you told me, he's not going to enjoy it. I was like, he'll be fine with me. And I took him in your alley where John Dillinger was shot, and he was like not having it. And my first instinct was he can see John Dillinger's ghost.
Well, and so we get both the gangster tour and the ghost tour here because John Dillinger is both a gangster and a dead gangster. So naturally, the ghost tour stops by my house. And I've never seen Dillinger. Been here 7 years.
Okay.
But Marvin might have.
I say Marvin probably got a good relationship with him.
Yeah. I mean, he was just a bank robber, you know. I don't think he was like a predator. I don't know, maybe
I think he was quite popular.
I think he was good looking.
Hi, Betty.
Sounds right.
Yeah. If he was good looking, that just makes up for everything. That's fine. Yeah. Come on. This is that. Al, do you want to see him? You want to see him? Let me show you that.
Let me see Roscoe.
Let's see. Say hi to Roscoe. Say hi, Roscoe.
Oh, hi, handsome boy.
Hi.
Hi, sweetheart. You like art? Marvin hates art. It falls on him. He's like the musician's kid who hates music. Like
Cheryl wrote in the comments, she goes, he was a murderer too.
Why don't you kill people? No,
thank you. Cheryl, very sobering information there.
Okay. All right. So there's that. Yeah. Public Enemies was actually shot in my alley, and I don't think any of the footage made it. I didn't live here at the time. But some of my neighbors did, and they've told the story.
That like a real the band Public Enemy?
The movie.
Oh, got you.
Was shot in my alley. All right, so it's this pedal in front.
Cheryl's comedic timing, I tell you.
Always.
He was murdered.
And I was like, okay, so maybe it's a dangerous ghost. Maybe that's what Marvin's telling me. All right, coming around this one. This right here. Down like this. Down over like this.
All right. Some of the bleeding on mine is looking really good. What are you thinking about yours?
I'm leaving mine. I like it. We wanted this. We don't want this. We wanted this to look painted.
Yep.
And so I'm turning into it, but if you want to turn away from it, that's fine. And then anywhere I think that needs a little bit more highlight on my petals, that's what I'm going to hit next. some light here. And I might go one more coat on my background. It's gotten a little patchy for my taste. I kind of wanted it a little bit more succinct, so to speak, and you only know that after it's dried.
I'm going to do the same. Mine, I think because of wet paint that was on my hand, I've put green spots all over the back of mine.
Yeah. And you know what? You might have liked that. You've decided you don't. You're going to cover it up. Not a big deal. All right, so I'm gonna go back to this pink I made before that I've got plenty of. That was the lighter shade.
Okay.
And I'm gonna get my brush back out. And I'm gonna kind of, again, not necessarily super consistently, but because we still want some of this texture. But kind of second,
Yeah.
second pass. Any lines I kind of want to clean up on my Protea. We're right at the 8:30 mark. And again, this one took a little longer just because there's so much paint to dry.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of wait on. So we're going kind of over our over, but I'm good with that. Just kind of another pass at this, but definitely still a rich textured background. Anywhere that I think needs a little bit more cleaning up in the background, I'm going to go with a smaller brush. I'm using.
Ruth also chimed in and said that Dillinger was not a nice man at all.
Yeah, and really?
I don't think our are laughing at Dillinger's expense.
Oh, man. Okay.
Well, we won't take that one on the road.
Yeah, Marvin's on to something here.
Yeah, he doesn't, and he does seem scared.
Yeah.
Like that kid's face, Haley Joel Osment or whatever, when he says he sees dead people, like that same face he made in that movie, I seen on Marvin's
face. Marvin? Oh, man. All right. Okay. Well, Dillinger, stay away from my puppy. He doesn't like you either.
Yeah, I think Dillinger's like, get out of my alley.
Get off my train.
Oh, man, that was so scary.
All right.
You know, another thing I like about this one, I feel like the more like detailed I get, the more it looks like I just kind of threw paint on it.
Yeah, it's kind of dealer's choice. It always is, but this is so here are two. I think mine looks a little, I think I got awfully close to the original here. Not that you need to.
You really did.
I think I landed there, which is at least what I'm trying to do. I want to show everyone how I made a certain piece. And again, it's this kind of chalky buildup of paint in the back that we were, kind of excited to get to do. And then I'm going to go ahead and sign this guy.
You go.
I think we're there. We're right at the 8:35 mark. If you hung with us, we can't thank you enough. If you didn't, we understand.
All right. And next week we're doing the beach scene.
Beach scene. Also very stylized.
Excellent.
Kind of a stylized, different kind of style. That one's really clean and kind of more graphic. But yeah. So
very cool.
There's our Protea. And yeah, we'd love to see these. So please keep, if you make this guy, we'd love to see it, and love your comments on a little bit of a different style. So thanks for hanging with us. We'll see you next week.
All right. Thank you, Al. Talk to you later.
Take care. See you later.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.